The next person, Dr. Aju Matthew from Kerala. Dr. Aju is an American board certified medical oncologist and hematologist. Is currently working in Ernakulam Medical Center Hospital and Kollegeri Medical College as a consultant oncologist. He's a faculty at the National Cancer Institute, designated Marquis Cancer Center of University of Kentucky, and an adjunct faculty at Kasturba Medical College. He has published proliferally and has been awarded by the American Society of Clinical Oncology and American Association of Cancer Research for the work he has done. He'll be talking to us about end of the pandemic, widening disparities. Dr. Matthew, please.
Thank you. Thank you to MUCM and Dr. Ajit Kumar for the opportunity to speak among some illustrious personalities. I'll just keep within 5 minutes. I'm going to talk about how COVID-19 has resulted in widening disparities. At the end of the pandemic, yes, it'll end in 6 months to 2 to 3 years. I expect that the disparities in our society will widen. When COVID-19 started, people had started to say that this was the great leveler. Regardless of whether you are rich or poor, Indian or Italian, white or black, you're all susceptible to it. But this myth was quickly junked. COVID-19 affects everyone, but not equally. In fact, in the US, one can see that Blacks and Latinos are disproportionately affected. Blacks constitute 13% of the US population, but half of the cases, and almost 60% of all deaths from COVID-19. Latinos are 18% of the country, but constitute 30% of the new cases. Even in India, when zero surveillance study was done, around 50% of people in the slums of Mumbai have been exposed with the virus, whereas only 1/5 have been exposed in more affluent parts of the city. Therefore, the most talked about words during this pandemic is turning out to symbolize the way this virus has widened the disparities, herd immunity. The less privileged sections of our population will become the herd to provide immunity to those who are more privileged. Herd immunity. The herd are the less privileged. They will accept all the virus infections and will provide immunity to those who are rich and privileged. So what can be done to reduce the disparities in our society? Another pandemic may take a century to arrive, but every year we are seeing slow but mammoth threats of non-communicable diseases like cancer, diabetes, and heart diseases. My first thought comes from the well-described maxim called social determinants of health. Unless we provide a conducive social environment through laws, education, policies, we cannot lead to a good public health system. Our laws and policies should always work for the last, the least, and the lost. During this pandemic, at a national level, we saw how we failed our migrants and our unskilled laborers. Second, we must realign our healthcare facilities so that there is no variation in the demand and supply for good healthcare. We saw how our coastal areas were hit badly by COVID-19, and the health facilities in these places were caught unprepared as well. Likewise, in most cities, care of migrant workers took a major hit. The lack of confidence of the migrant communities in the safety net were manifested by the large exodus of people from cities. Third, we must start moving towards the process of universal healthcare, at least for preventative care. Our move towards family healthcare centers could be a model for the rest of the nation if we can prove that it favorably alters the management of non-communicable diseases like diabetes. Fourth, private healthcare is not a stepchild of the state. In fact, the state of Kerala has a substantial contribution from private healthcare. We need to stop paying lip service to public-private partnership and start giving more strength to the private sector. Sure, we must regulate, but we should also build capacity at all levels. Fifth, we need a high-level committee of experts from government and non-governmental sectors. Only experts, no nepotism, no packing it with like-minded thinkers. This high-level committee was probably constituted, but in my opinion, it lacked the depth and all the flavors of the society, a multidisciplinary approach. For instance, some of the stigma associated with COVID-19 could have been anticipated if a sociologist was part of a high-level committee. Finally, our lawmakers have finally understood the importance of public health in maintaining a healthy economy. This crisis could and should provide a great impetus to making structural reforms. Such reform should start with people-centric lawmaking. I will stop by illustrating a disparity issue that all of us have probably seen. I'm sure most of us have walked through a hospital and have noticed how well protected most doctors are. Most doctors are well covered, well masked, N95, but our non-medical staff, like our cleaning staff, our attenders, are very poorly protected. Slowly, people started recognizing that it isn't enough for doctors to be protected. It is also important for our attenders, our cleaning staff to be protected. That disparity issue has now been addressed, but it took some time. So at every level of our society, our healthcare, we are seeing disparities. After this pandemic has ended, I'm expecting the disparities in our society to widen. The poor will become poorer, the rich will become richer, those who are privileged will become more privileged, those who are less privileged will become less privileged. What can we do now to help this less problematic? When the pandemic ends, we must make sure our society is at least slightly more equitable than it was a year ago. Thank you.